For years, I had used a mountain pass that crossed my own property. It was part of the land I legally owned. Then the HOA suddenly decided I needed their permission to use it. That was the beginning of their biggest mistake. Linda handed me an HOA violation notice. She claimed I had violated community rules by using the pass without authorization. I looked at the paper, then at the property map in my hand. There was just one problem. The pass wasn't theirs. I showed the sheriff the original survey. The mountain pass was clearly inside my property boundaries. Linda insisted the HOA had always controlled the road. But always isn't a legal document. The sheriff inspected the property markers himself. Everything matched the survey. The gate stood on my land. The road crossed my land, and the pass belonged to me. Linda's accusation was falling apart right in front of her. Linda pulled out the HOA rule book and claimed it gave them authority over the pass. The sheriff asked her to show him where the HOA owned the road. She couldn't. A neighborhood rule could not override a private property deed. I had something Linda didn't have, a complete chain of ownership. The deed, survey, and county records all pointed to the same conclusion. The pass was mine, and I had every right to decide who could use it. Linda still wasn't ready to accept it. She threatened to fine me again if I used the road. I looked at her and asked one simple question. If I own the road, who exactly are you fining? The next morning, I made my decision. I installed a proper private property gate at the entrance. For years, 300 HOA homes had treated my road like their personal shortcut. That privilege was about to end. By afternoon, the shortcut was closed. Cars from the HOA lined up on the other side of the gate. Linda demanded that I reopen it immediately. I simply reminded her that it was my property. The HOA had spent years believing the mountain pass belonged to them. They fined me for using my own property. So I simply exercised my legal right to control it. And when 300 homeowners realized their shortcut was gone, the real battle finally began. Karen thought the fine would force me to surrender the mountain pass. Instead, I pulled out the original property survey. The deputy carefully studied every boundary line. Then he looked at Karen and asked, "Where exactly does your HOA own this road?" The survey showed something Karen clearly didn't expect. The entire mountain pass crossed my private property. The HOA had been using it for years without my permission, and suddenly their shortcut looked very different. Karen insisted the HOA had an easement. She waived their violation notice like it was proof. But when the deputy asked to see the recorded easement, Karen couldn't produce one. That was the first moment her confidence began to disappear. I wasn't blocking a public road. I was protecting my own land. So I installed a clear private property sign and locked the gate. For the first time, the HOA residents had to find another route. Within an hour, the HOA discovered how many residents depended on that shortcut. Cars began lining up outside my gate. Karen blamed me for their inconvenience. I simply reminded her that I had never agreed to give them access. Karen tried one more time to convince the deputy. She claimed the HOA had controlled the pass for decades. The deputy checked the county records himself. Then he told her, "Years of using land doesn't automatically make it yours." The county records confirmed everything. My deed included the entire mountain pass. There was no HOA easement attached to my property. Their shortcut had existed only because previous owners had allowed it. I handed Karen the certified county records. She stared at the documents without saying a word. Then I explained the consequence clearly. The shortcut is closed unless I choose to reopen it. The residents finally learned what Karen had never told them. The HOA didn't own the road. They had been treating my private property like community property for years. Now everyone wanted to know why Karen had never checked the deed. That day, I didn't take anything away from the HOA. I simply stopped giving away something that had always belonged to me. Karen's fine was dismissed, and the shortcut remained closed. Sometimes the strongest response isn't fighting back. It's knowing exactly what your deed says.